Ladies and gentlemen, if you all have been keeping up with the channel, you'll know that HSR's 3.3 livestream occurred the other day. And on the same day, we decided to upload a video talking about why it was, I'm gonna be honest here, a bit of a disaster. And so to kind of quickly summarize what was going on, we only have like 2 new units coming out, a map expansion that looks like, you know, it is what it is. Map expansions in HSR or whatever, because, you know, all of the time it ends up feeling like more of a chore exploring this overworld than it does in like other actual exploration games. We talked about how the new boss, I think it has like a, let's see over here. Yeah, the new boss has like a locked break bar, and so if you pulled Fug You and Super Break, you're kind of just completely screwed fighting it. We saw the different trailers, or really the gameplay demos of the new units, and it came with some of the weirdest, most off, kind of like the most garbage music that I feel like we've ever seen in the space before. And we also have the whole situation over here, right, with there being only about 2 events in the patch, as well as an expansion to the Divergent universe. I'm gonna have to go change that later. Yeah, 2 events in the patch, a racing one, a combat one, and then the Divergent universe, all within a 42-day patch. And then quality of life, like expanding the inventory from 2,000 to 3,000. Stuff that's not really that exciting. So we can probably tell that this patch overall, not a lot of stuff, and especially coming after the anniversary, which was, you know, one of the most highest grossing months in HSR history, with their spending event and casters being completely broken in her global passive. It was disappointing, to say the least. But boy, oh boy, am I happy or really unhappy to announce that the Honkai Star Rail player base is kind of just in defense mode. One of the claims that I made in this video was that the game is now basically in maintenance. It's not really looking to acquire new players anymore. It's just going to put in more and more and more predatory stuff, more power creep, more broken shit, just to keep selling the newest characters, get people to pull dupes, make the endgame even harder and harder, HP inflate even more, to extract as much value as possible out of the existing player base. And I think that's really what's happening. I think that's where the game is going at this point in time. And a lot of players were not very happy with this breakdown. They weren't very happy with this opinion. And so what I wanted to do was take you all on an adventure to read some of the comments that got left on this video. You can tell in just 14 hours, 778 is quite a lot. Let's get right on into it. So, all I have to do is look up the word event over here, and you'll notice a shit ton of people brigading this comment section, upvoting stuff that is just factually not true, that doesn't even make very much sense at all. So let's go ahead, let's take a look. We got TRUF0, okay, he looks like a robot. What a clown. LOL, you're the same person who was hyping up the WuWa Annie because the events were peak. Meanwhile, set events, pulling event, dice rolling event, and normal combat, but with cubes instead of echoes. But yeah, bro, 2.3 WuWa was peak content. So to kind of like frame this whole comment and frame this whole scenario with you guys, these individuals are straight up not even talking about all of the events in the patch. They're straight up minimizing the events that are actually there. They keep forgetting that there's new content like 2 new holograms that were introduced in the first half, and they're also forgetting everything else that's coming in the second half of the patch. This is kind of like, this is the level of intelligence that these individuals have when they're going ahead and they're brigading the comment section. It's close to 0. There's almost none of it at all. So let's just go ahead. Let's keep reading. I've also got all the receipts and all the glue over here as well. You're hating on HSR for a few events you don't want, while WuWa only got city board game and cube fighting. BS, man. They act like those were the only 2 events announced in the patch. Don't worry, we'll get more. Gotta be crazy saying only adding 2 events when this current WuWa patch only added 2 events and literally nothing else at all. Literally nothing. 22 upvotes on that one. And one of these event is a dice game with 1 button. This is the level of defense. This is the level of brigading that is currently occurring within the community. And this is the thing. There are more comments like that. I only looked up the word event. And so what I wanted to do was just point out how absolutely delusional the brigading is getting over here. These kids, these HSR shills, these HSR players are literally at the point where I think they understand that their game is actively dying. They understand that the devs really don't care where anything else in terms of development is going for this game. I think they understand implicitly that at this point, they're just cows getting milked by Da Wei, and they don't like it. But instead of actually taking that feedback back to the devs, back to the execs over at Hoyoverse, and then trying to make their game better. They're just going to try to drag every other game down to HSR's level by saying stuff that's just demonstrably, objectively not fucking true at all. So let's get into this whole claim that WuWa only added 2 events and literally nothing else. These guys are, I'm just going to be honest here, they're gifted with extra chromosomes. You can see over here, just straight up, if we're looking at the version 2.3 preview, that we have another story event featuring Kachona, as well as a whole goddamn new permanent event that is based off the Elusive Realm. That's a new roguelike mode called Dreaming Deep. This is being bundled. This is being bundled aside, of course, this cube event that they're downplaying so much, fully knowing that this cube event is permanent. I'm going to be honest here, this cube event has literally hours of gameplay. It has a permanent co-op mode with like rankings and leaderboards that you can compete with your friends with. And it also has so much built-in progression with all these cube upgrades with 10 different abilities that you can use. And they're just calling it, oh, you're just using cubes instead of echoes. And that's the thing. None of these guys have actually played this game mode. But all they want to do is talk shit about it, knowing that they have not experienced anything at all when it comes to what is going on. I personally found this game mode incredibly fun. I'm still looking for different ways to experiment with the cubes and just try some new stuff out. And you know the best thing about all of this? This is the one event that they're saying is complete trash, and they're completely disregarding pretty much everything else. Like we mentioned before, right? There's the new holograms. This is all the stuff that's in the first half. One thing I will admit is that the first half could feel a little bit dry for a lot of people, especially if they played a lot of the cube event really fast, like I did. However, there's going to be new stuff coming in just 3 days, and of course, all of this stuff that we just took a look at over here, Dreaming Deep, Your Summer Will Never Wither, all of that, that's all coming in the second half. And the best part about all of this is that this is what Dreaming Deep is actually supposed to look like. It has a fully fleshed out UI with three or maybe even 4 different little quests you can go on. You go ahead. Let's just play it in the background. Yeah, you have all these different things. You like progress on like a board. You do all of that. You move across on tiles. You have teammates that you can select and recruit. This is how fully fleshed out this game mode is, and it's permanent, just like the cube event. This anniversary literally introduced 2 permanent game modes, and people are saying that there's literally nothing in it. People are saying that it's absolute trash, that there's no replayability at all, that there's no content. In what universe is 2 permanent game modes in one patch, no content? You quite literally have to be absolutely delusional for this to be the take that you have. But let's be honest here. These HSR players that are going in, mass brigading YouTube comment sections, upvoting stuff that literally doesn't make any sense at all, and pretending that the first half of a patch's events are going to be the only events in the patch. Why? How? This is the response to people simply literally calling out that their patch objectively only has 2 with a Divergent Universe update. And so what they're going to do is just straight up literally lie. They're just going to lie about what's in WuWa and pretend that there isn't a second half to the patch. And I'm going to be real here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be real. I wasn't the most... I was pretty harsh in my review of HSR, but I was harsh with that review because the game has progressively been getting worse ever since patch 2.6, with a dog shit story, dog shit satisfaction, bad events, no real meaningful updates to anything except the HP of enemies in the endgame. And I'm gonna be real here. I think a lot of people are feeling the same. What happens when a game just goes downhill like HSR has is that every single player ends up leaving unless they're super dedicated to the game, unless they are one of the game's like top players, either in spending or just shilling. And that means that as you start filtering more and more and more of the general populace, the only people remaining are basically just going to be freaks. That's just how it is. The only people that you're gonna have left in this community, the only people that are still gonna be playing this game, are those that have a taste for trash. They either have way too many sunk costs, or they just have a sense of delusion and grandeur when it comes to the game, and they think that no matter what happens, no matter what the devs do, this is just an amazing game, right? They could pump out shitty update after shitty update after shitty update, and they'll stay and they'll lap all of it up. And to have a patch like this that's so lackluster, that's so devoid of content, knowing that this game had one of its most successful months yet with its absurd spending event that had a goal of $250 for the full rewards, as well as, of course, rampant power creep that just gets worse patch over patch over patch, and you end up in a state where the end game cannot be cleared unless you're pulling all of the newest units. God forbid you try to use your older ones. That's where the game currently is right now. And these guys, these commenters, these people going in, and remember, this is only a small subsect of the posts that are talking about and trying to compare HSR to WuWa in this situation. There are plenty more. You can go ahead and just check out the video over here to find them. They're delusional at this point. Nothing makes sense for them anymore. And these level of attacks, these sort of false comparisons, these false equivalencies, they're going to keep happening. They're going to keep occurring because I am pretty certain that HSR is not really going to get better. I think that it's hit that stage of its development where, once again, it is just in maintenance mode, where the devs, the execs, they're just trying to extract as much value as they possibly can from the existing player base that's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller every single patch. And yeah, they might drop a good patch or two like the Fate collab that might bring some players back, but they're going to be gone in like 10 days. If people are coming back for HSR 3.4 and like Finon, Archer, and Saber, you want to know what they're going to do? They're going to pull those units and they probably just quit the game again because they're going to take one look at the end game, one look at the content that's actually in the patch and be like, this is fucking pointless. This is useless. This is some of the dumbest shit I've ever done. There's no point in any of this anymore. They'll maybe play the story and then peace the fuck out. That's how it is. And I imagine that HSR might be doing more and more and more collabs in the future. Because guess what? I think that's the only way that they're going to see any level of player acquisition, player growth from here on out. And the fact that they're going ahead and they're just making up fan fiction about the stuff that's in the WuWa patch to try to, again, bring the game down to HSR's level is kind of insane. It's kind of crazy. Oh, we haven't even done, I don't think we haven't even had QB Derby either. That's the racing event with the cubes. So that's another event that's coming in the second half of the patch. Yeah, there were even, they're just pretending that half the shit in here wasn't even real, wasn't even announced, and isn't going to happen. It's coming on May 14th. Yeah, QB Derby is happening in 4 days. So there's even more events that these individuals are simply just pretending aren't actually happening. And it's a bit of a disappointment that these are the posts that are getting mass upvoted. You'll notice, right, that they're being made 4 hours ago. Somebody is making these, then linking them in their community, and then begging people to go like mass upvote it. I don't think that there's that many delusional people, but clearly it's enough for individuals like me who actually do take a look at my comment section to identify. And I imagine that this is going to happen in a lot more comment sections, in a lot more Reddits, maybe a lot more on Twitter and communities like that in the future. And people that don't play HSR, or people that quit HSR, or people that simply realize that HSR is no longer a good game, they should be aware of all of this sort of astroturfing, all of this bullshit, all of this delusional shill behavior that's going on. So with that, I know it's a crazy development, or really not that crazy. It's to be expected when the game's in this state. Let me know what you all think. Peace.